Camus launched an attack on Bichir, casting 4 different spells at once. However, Bichir managed to dodge all of them with ease. With a hint of criticism in his voice, Bichir suggested to Camus that instead of trying to impress with flashy spells, she should focus on mastering one. Camus sneered at Bichir, wondering why he even cared since he was just an idiot who didn't understand magic. She retaliated by using a sand wall spell, causing a wall of sand to appear between them. But Bichir easily broke through the wall with a swift kick and commented on Camus's harsh words. Camus was surprised at Bichir's strength, wondering if this was the power of someone who had bathed in the river Styx. While she was lost in thought, Bichir launched an attack that Camus realized was impossible to dodge. She closed her eyes, thinking that she had let her guard down, but to her surprise, she didn't get hit. When she opened her eyes, Bichir was flicking his finger on her forehead. The flick sent her flying backward. Adolf, who was watching, couldn't believe that a mere flick had such power. Camus tried to ease the pain on her forehead with her hand and demanded to know why Bichir had flicked her. She accused him of going easy on her and vowed not to let him get away with it. However, Bichir just smiled and pointed to his forehead, suggesting that they should end things before they got out of hand. Camus, with almost tears in her eyes, refused to give up and casted another sand wall spell. This time, she created 2 walls and proudly exclaimed that Bichir wouldn't be able to get through them. However, Bichir wasn't impressed and thought that it was pointless since he could just go around them. But he decided to play along and prepared to punch the walls. With just one punch, Bichir's hand pierced through both walls, creating a hole. Camus was surprised seeing this, and then Bichir asked a question while making a flicking gesture with his hand. He wondered whose arm had crossed the wall. As he once again flicked on Camus' forehead, he answered the question himself, saying that it was the stronger individual. The flick on Camus's forehead caused her to fall down and growl in pain. Despite this, she continued attacking Bichir, who managed to dodge her attacks. Bichir thought that dealing with children was much harder than he thought, and that he could easily crush her neck in 0.1 seconds if he put his mind to it. However, he knew that it would cause an entire issue, and wondered what he should do to calm her down. Just then Bichir noticed that 2 other contestants were having a duel in the arena behind him. He thought it might be better to let others deal with Camus. As he turned his attention to the other contestants, he saw a swordmaster cutting a mage's spells with a sword. Bichir thought that they might be useful in executing his plan. Meanwhile, Camus was getting angrier by the minute. Her attacks were not landing on Bichir, and she couldn't understand why. She demanded that Bichir stop running away and face her. As the mage behind Bichir started casting a spell, Bichir knew it was the perfect time to strike. Bichir warned Camus to have a defensive spell ready. Camus was confused at first, but then she saw the mage's attack coming from behind Bichir. Adolf, who understood Bichir's plan, shouted in surprise. And then a powerful blast covered the whole arena. As the spell engulfed the arena, the audience reacted with gasps and shouts of surprise at what they were seeing. Lady Camus heard her Uncle Adolf's voice in the chaos and wondered what she should do. She had avoided injuries with the help of a defensive spell, but the flame spell had burned her clothes. Tears welled up in her eyes as she imagined the shame of being seen after the smoke cleared. Suddenly, Bichir appeared before her and offered his jacket to cover herself. Camus was shocked by his kindness, unable to understand why he was helping her despite being her enemy. She protested weakly as Bichir insisted on giving her his jacket. Camus anxiously said that he would be exposed if he gave her his only jacket. But Bichir seemed unconcerned about his own well-being. Camus couldn't understand why Bichir was taking care of her, despite their enmity. Camus noticed that Bichir was bleeding from a scratch on his arm and pointed it out to him. Bichir was surprised to see a scratch on the body strengthened by the river Styx and realized that the sword of the idiot swordsman must have had some remaining aura on it to cause the wound. As the dust cloud began to clear, Camus and Bichir were revealed to the audience. Adolf was relieved to see that Camus was okay, and the audience observed that the Lady of Morgue was on the floor. But the one bleeding was the young Baskerville, making it difficult to determine the winner of the battle. The audience also noticed shirtless Bichir, revealing his fit physique. They marveled at his muscles, impressed by his talent for training his body at such a young age. Camus's eyes looked different as she watched Bichir, and a light blush spread across her cheeks. As Adolf hugged his niece, Camus, she continued to steal glances at Bichir, unable to understand why she was feeling drawn to him despite their earlier enmity. After the battle, Hugo and Bichir walked down a dimly lit hallway. Hugo turned to Bichir and asked how the battle with the Lady of the Morgue clan was. Bichir replied that it was interesting and that he had learned the purpose of the event once again. Hugo then remarked that a battle with a mage was different from a battle between swordsmen and asked why Bichir did not go for a clear blow. Vichir hesitated before admitting that he was confused about how to deal with a lady. Hugo warned him that letting his guard down in battle would lead to injury, and that he should take the injury as a lesson. Vichir was surprised that Hugo was worried about him. He didn't remember much about what Hugo was like during his youth since he was always so cold, strict, and brutal. There were rumors that his personality had become that way because he had lost his first wife and eldest daughter, but that wasn't Vichir's problem. Hugo then changed the subject and asked Vichir what he thought they should do with the ruby mines. Vichir spoke up, suggesting that they give away control over the mines. Hugo was taken aback and asked for his reasoning. Vichir explained that the main task of the Baskerville clan was to grow their territories, and that the monsters and barbarians living in the area around the mines would become a problem during their expansion into that region. He suggested that if they could utilize the Moor clan well, they may be able to minimize the losses incurred during their expansion. Hugo agreed with Vichir's reasoning and explained his plan.